Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Classic Comics. Today I'm looking at Mr. Miracle, The Source of Freedom, number 1. And this first issue is by Brandon Easton with art by Fico Ossio. I guess that's how you say it. Anyway, so it starts off, we got Mr. Miracle, and this is Shiloh Norman, not Scott Free, the original Mr. Miracle. So, Scott Free, the original Mr. Miracle, he's from New Genesis, was imprisoned on Apocalypse for many years, most of his childhood, escaped to Earth, married to Big Barda and all that. He's the original Mr. Miracle, or at least the first one we knew as readers. And somewhere in the 90s, sometime, I think it was Grant Morrison who introduced Shiloh Norman. I don't remember for sure, but I think that's who it was, as kind of a protege to Scott Free. And I think the idea was that eventually Shiloh was just going to replace Scott Free as Mr. Miracle, maybe. But it never really happened. But I don't know, maybe they're really going to go ahead and try and do that now. But anyway, the point is, this is not Scott Free, is my point. And it starts off, he's doing this kind of cool stunt. He's chained onto this chair underneath this, rocket. And he's jettisoned and he's falling back into the atmosphere. And it's, he's got to escape from the chains and activate a parachute before he hits the ground and all that. I don't think I'll belabor the story too much to say he survives. And nice art by Ossio. The guy's pretty good. And so, anyway, his agent comes up, tells him, hey, the pay-per-view numbers are great. And afterwards, they're talking. And he says, look, we got good numbers, and we're trending and all that, but your brand recognition is down. People are less excited about the Mr. Miracle brand. And that's not good going into the holidays. And they start discussing, well, what can we do to get me, increase my exposure or something to that effect. And the agent says, well, I think there's a couple of things you do. One is you could go spend more time in Metropolis fighting crime, basically, being a superhero. And then Shiloh's like, well, what's option number 2? And Shiloh is African American, as you can see. And the agent says, well, you could take your mask off. And he's reluctant to do that. And then the agent is like, is this because you're African American? And he proceeds to go on this rant about, you don't know what it's like, and et cetera, et cetera. And basically talks about how difficult it is for African Americans, and then he gets angry and flies off. Then we pick up a couple of days later. He's stopping this arsonist from blowing up a building. Well, he doesn't really stop him from blowing up the building. The building gets blown up anyway. But I do think he manages to save some people. And then afterwards, he's approached by one of the firefighters. And surprise, the firefighter is a young woman of color. And he's attracted to her. So he talks to his agent and says, I want you to contact this woman and set up a date with her. And since he's a celebrity, and he's also, a superhero as such, he's got this, lengthy contract that she needs to fill out and sign before he'll go out with her. And it's got, a non-disclosure agreement and all this other stuff. And then he goes on a talk show, and he's talking about his exploits as Mr. Miracle. And then there's a bunch of... They look at, his social media, and there's all these posts that are praising him, but then there are all these others that are calling him a liar and a thief and bashing him. And he's a bit shaken by that. And then afterward, he and his agent are talking again, and then he goes on another rant about racism, when he says, look, real talk, I'm a little perplexed by your refusal to take your mask off. You're not Thaddeus Brown. That was the original Mr. Miracle. And this isn't 1969. And Shiloh says, damn right it's not 1969, but it sure feels like it. When I was a kid, I listened to the stories of black elders dealing with hardcore bigotry and mistreatment. They had such faith that good white folks would eventually do the right thing. So many of my elders went to their graves disappointed. I guess I was infected with my ancestors' naivete. I truly believed if the mainstream society could see the injustices inflicted upon African Americans, there would be an overwhelming sense of sympathy and calls for fairness. That didn't happen. If anything, the hatred intensified. And he basically complains about how basically it's like, it's not 69, it's 2021, and we're still stuck with Jim Crow. I'm shackled by the constraints of low expectations. None of that matters when I'm Mr. Miracle. So, under Jim Crow, black people couldn't vote. There were a lot of jobs they couldn't get. They had the segregated water fountains in schools and all that stuff. All that's gone, but we're still in Jim Crow, apparently. So, anyway, he goes on a date with this woman. And he basically spends the whole date talking about his life as a celebrity and all that. And she kind of gets tired of hearing it and is basically like, all this guy does is talk about himself. And she cuts the date short and leaves. And then he is attacked. There are these boom tubes that open and these energy beams come out and at him. Then he flees and he goes back to his apartment. His apartment's been ransacked. And there's a bunch of graffiti calling him a thief and a liar and all this other stuff, like the stuff that was on his website. And then he's attacked again, and he's confronted by this guy, the true inheritor of the Mr. Miracle mantle, the only child of Scott and Barta Free. Never free. What? Oh, God. His Godfrey's son, apparently, I guess he's from the future. I don't know, because Scott and Barta just had a kid like a year or two ago. So I guess he's from the future and come back, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, Scott Free's son is named Never Free. Oh, God. Really? Wow. That's worse than the Jim Crow thing. I mean, that is just so stupid. I remember back in the 90s when they were publishing Young Justice, and Peter David was writing it, and they introduced this villain, and his name was Harm. That was his name, Harm. And he'd constantly be warning people to, quote unquote, stay out of harm's way. And it was just so obvious that was why they named him that, so that he could say that line. And it was so cheesy and so on the note. And it's like, this is like the same thing. I mean, Scott Free is a pun and it's kind of cheesy, yes, but this is like doubling down on it. Oh my God. So anyway, I mean, overall, I'm kind of conflicted. I mean, obviously the race baiting stuff, I mean, it's weird because like half of this comic is like a pretty solid adventure comic, and then the other half is like it's basically a BLM pamphlet. It's just pure agitprop. So, I mean, I kind of wanted to like the thing. This artist, Osseo, I mean, he's good. He's talented. And it turns, the writer shows that he's pretty good too. Easton. Yeah, Easton. But yeah, I just can't get around it's 2021, but we're still in Jim Crow. Yeah, right. Okay. So anyway, yeah, thumbs down on this stuff. The art's promising, but there's just too much political messaging here for me. So I say thumbs down, give this one a pass. Let me know what you thought of this one. And while you're at it, if you would, please like this video before you leave. Also, please sub to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. And I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.